All right. So, hello, praise. You're welcome. Yeah. Okay. We are starting now. Um. Once once again, good evening from you, everyone. Trust we are good, and trust our weekend is going on well. So, all right. Praise, how you doing? Can you hear me? Good evening. How you doing? How have you been? Yeah, that's what you hear. Yeah, good evening. So, yeah. let's start So we are looking into the lab that's breach in the cloud, but it seems like some people did not understand it, like the way we explain or something. So I want us to break it down further again. So I want us to take the lab again, and so I will upload this. I will upload this one. Okay, I have a lab running, I think. Okay, so this is the name of the lab. Let me copy and paste this to the chat. All right. So now this lab is suitable for CTL approach. Now this is our scenario here. So we have our scenario right here. It says that we've been alerted to a potential security incident. The huge logistics security team have provided you with AWS keys of an account that saw on. Oh, apologies. Really? Imagine. It's because of the recording I'm doing. Can you see my screen now? All right. Thank you for calling my attention. So coming back here, this is the cloud, breach in the cloud, the lab brother. It's called breach in the cloud. So, and this lab is suitable for a CTF approach. And the scenario we have here is that we've been alerted to potential security incident. The huge logistics security team have provided you with AWS keys of an account that saw unusual activity, as well as AWS Cloud Tree logs around the time of the activity. We need your expertise to confirm the breach by analyzing our Cloud Tree logs, identifying the compromised AWS service, and any data that was exfiltrated. So this is a requirement, stuff like that. So we are going to start with this lab now. But once we are here, we need to log into our Discord. We need to make sure that we are logged into our Discord and click on this link so that we can download this the CloudTrail log. It's called incident-3252.zip so that we can download it from Discord and import it into our machine. So that's how they designed this lab. So you have to make sure that you are logged into your Discord, download it, and probably copy it to your um Linux or your virtual environment, virtual machine rather. So we are starting now. We say real world context. Analyzing AWS Cloud Tree logs is a standard practice for detecting suspicious activity within an AWS account. While S3 buckets are frequently targeted by attackers due to the valuable data they can contain. Is anyone saying something? Mr. Kolade, please can you help us with your mic? All right, thank you. So um, I have the, let me first log in here. Let me log into this temporary credential. So let me log in here. There's AWS configure. Let me call this bridge. So I'm going to call this profile bridge. Is this here? This is the same thing. Copy it. Paste it here. Just press enter to accept the one that has already been selected. So in the AWS STS get caller identity, and then we'll give our profile bridge. Here now, so we have access to the temporary account. So that's great. So right now, we want to analyze our log. Where did I say log? Check that is. Please. I'm sorry, I'm trying to locate the folder. Okay, I have the log here. Okay, so I have the log here. So I'm going to show you how to extract the log from the zip file. So I'm going to delete everything else. Do rm everything that ends. Okay, we'll just do it this way. And I'm applying a wildcard, which is what this command means is that rm, that is to delete, to remove all these files. And this wildcard I'm applying here, every log here have something common, even up to T2. You can see T2 is common to every one of them. So then the wildcard means everything that has it. So you're gonna press enter. Now if you do ls, you can see that they're deleted. Let me as well remove these full logs. So yeah, we only have our zip file here. All right, so to unzip this, we are going to enter unzip incident, then we'll press enter. So now we can see that our logs have been unzipped. So if you try to get the content of this log, now for an example, let's do 035. So 035, 035. So if you try to concatenate that, you can see now this is the way the log was recorded, the log was downloaded rather. Cat is formatting the log, best put. So, but we want to make sure that the log is arranged in a readable format, in a way that you can easily, read as it is right now. It's not easy to read or go through. So what you are going to do now is that if you try to cut that as well, so I just use my up arrow key to bring up the last command. So pipe. So remember we installed JQ. So this JQ will help us to format this log now. You can see what you are trying to say that print out this cat means concatenate, that is print out everything in this log file and pipe it to JQ, that is forward it to JQ. So JQ will format it. You can see now we have printed it out in a format that is well readable. You can see now that it's readable. So we can always go through it right like that. But what I want to do is that I want to compile all the log to a single log file. I want to compile everything to a single log file so that I can analyze them all together perform my search there altogether. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to concatenate, remember. So that's 10. Now I'm going to apply the wildcard again. That is to select all. Then I will now say to pipe this, I will pipe it JQ. Remember, this one will bring it to format that is readable. And next, I will now give the output out as full logs, or I can just call it incident log, any name you want to give it. But let me just give this one full logs. That's the name I'm giving this. So, but you can give it any name, any name. So now press enter. Let's print out again. You can see now we now have our full logs. Now we have our full logs. Now we have our full logs here. So let me clear my screen. Now if I cut down my full log, let me cut down my full logs. You can see now these are the logs that we retrieved, that we concatenated from the Cloudtrail log. Everything compiled together here. These are all the logs here compiled to a single log. Now we want to begin our research. What made us to understand that? Let's come back to our scenario here. I want us to understand. So we've been alerted to a potential security incident. The huge logistics security team have provided you with AWS keys of an account that saw unusual activity. So there is an account that saw the unusual activity. So that is the account that was used to perform this breach that the attacker manipulated. So we have the account here, as well as the Cloudtrail logs around the time of the activity. So now they need our expertise to confirm the breach by analyzing the Cloudtrail logs and identifying the compromised AWS service and any data that was exfiltrated. Now, what they are requesting us, or what they are requesting from us, what they need from us is to use our expertise to confirm that the breach truly occurred first and identify the AWS service that was compromised and the data that was exfiltrated. So now that's what we are going to look into in this lab. So let's go back to this lab. Remember, this is the credential to the AWS account that was compromised. That was why we performed a AWS configure. So we've already configured that. So we know, and now from here we know that the user is temp user. The user is temp user. And so the name of the user is temp user, as you can see here. The name of the user is temp user. Now we can begin our findings here. We can begin our findings here. We can begin our findings here. And we'll begin to compile our findings as we are performing each one of them, as we are getting new findings. So we know that the name of the user is temp user. Now, what I want to do, the logs are many, so they are very many. You know how log could be. So to do that, we want to filter our search from this full logs. We want to filter our search. We want to filter our search. So let me do something here. Permit me. Let me open a new page. Perform this from scratch. All right. So to do that here, remember we installed Flameshot to take screenshots. So let's take the screenshot of the name of the user called temp user. So first we got the caller identity. Control C to copy and paste it here. All right. All right. So, all right. So now let's feature this log with the name temp user. Remember, we have our logs here, full logs. So what you are going to do here is that we are going to grep that name. So we're going to do grep dash a. That is, now if you give it 10, that is to print 10 lines of where temp user occurred, that is appeared. So let's assume we print, let's say 10. Then the name we are looking for, temp user from what file, full logs. That's it. So grep-a here means that we'll print out 10 results and anywhere temp user appear from this full logs. So that's what this command is going to do. So press enter. You can see we have it down here. So this is the temp user. These are the actions that the temp user performed. As you can see here, these are the actions that the temp user performed there. These are the actions he performed. You can see the user was performing enumeration, and this is the IP address that the person that abused this user is making use of. This is the IP address. Yes, I'm recording already. So this is the IP address that the user who compromised this account is performing this attack from. You can see what this the attacker was doing with this compromised account was to enumerate. So was listing servers, listing different services, list login configurations, a lot of things. You can see the attacker was performing enumeration. You can see this is the event time, event source, this is the event name. That is the event, the action that was performed. This activated rules in rule group, a lot of things that the user was performing, a lot of things you can see here. These are the things that the user was doing. You can see. So let's try to print out more. Let's try to print out more. Let's say printing out let's say like 40. Okay. List MFA devices. This signing certificate, you can see, was performing enumeration to see what service he or she could compromise. Aha, now from this log now, we're able to dictate how the attacker was able to get privilege access to perform some things because this is a temp user. Definitely this is a temporary user. You can see here. This user performed an event. You can see that's assume row. This user assumed the row here. And this is the source IP address. This user assumed the row. And the name of the row, the old Amazon resource name is admin row. So definitely there is a row that that is attached to this user that made the attacker to manipulate it to gain privileged access as an admin to perform the attack. You can see, and this is the row session name. Now what the misconfiguration that happened here is the principle of least privilege. On a in the first instance, a temp user should not be given an assumed role that is called admin role. You can see now, because this temp user was compromised, the attacker was able to elevate his privilege by assuming this admin role. So we can see these are the credentials that the admin role, what assume role does is that it creates temporary login details. Like for CLI, you can see this is the access key, this is the credentials that the assume role generated, access key, session token. You can see that here. So there was an assume role here. You can see the attacker was able to assume the role here. Now let's filter from let's get what this after assuming this admin role, let's see what the attacker was able to do. Now we are going to filter our log again by another with another input. You can see. Now let's do that. We'll do that now. Then we'll be able to take a proper screenshot. So let's do grep print out. Let's say like 20 admin anywhere it find this name, anywhere this name match admin role from the file full logs. Yeah, it found the match. That's how to filter using grep. You can see here now. Let's start from the beginning. You can see after the user elevated the privilege, the temp user elevated the privilege to gain this admin role. You can see after generating the credential, the access key ID and the session token, you can see here. Then the next thing, the next action that the user performed. Now let's look into that. What's the next action? Now the user got the caller identity. The user got the caller identity, the AWS STS get caller identity that we do perform. The user did that too as well from this IP address. So then after that, another event name, the user list object. That is, the user was able to list objects, all the objects in this AWS account. It lists S3 objects. Rather, you can see the event source is S3 service, s3.amazonaws.com. It listed all the objects in AWS S3. You can see that. And there was a specific bucket that it listed the objects from. The name of the bucket is emergency data recovery bucket. You can see that. Emergency data recovery bucket. Let's proceed further. Then after that, the attacker got object from the emergency data recovery. And the name of the object he was able to exfiltrate was emergency.txt. You can see that now. So these are how the user compromised this account. So we want to take our findings, our screenshot here. We want to take our screenshot here. One, that's how the user was able to zoom the row. You can just take it to this level. Then we'll copy. We're going to look up our notes data. Just copy and paste here. Okay. Then we knew that the user then performed get caller identity. That one is not. Okay, now the user listed object. The user listed object here from the S3 bucket. The user listed object. The purpose of taking this screenshot, is for reporting. So And if you want to highlight, you click on this square box here. You want to highlight what the user did, listed object from what bucket, emergency data recovery. So we want to save that. Control C, copy that. Then let's paste that here. Let's continue. Then from here, we know that the user then got object, perform an event that is called get object, and was able to exfiltrate data. Now let's take our screenshot here too as well. Then highlight, user got object, the name of the bucket, emergency recovery, and the name of the object that was gotten, that was exfiltrated in emergency. Control C. Then we'll come and paste our file here. So now we were able to, what were requested of here, what was requested of us here is to do what? It said we need our expertise to confirm the breach by analyzing the cloud trade logs, which is what we've been doing, identify compromised AWS service, and any data that was exfiltrated. Now we've gotten all of this. We were able to analyze the logs. We were able to identify the compromised AWS service, which was AWS S3. Now we were able to get the data that was exfiltrated, that was emergency.txt. That's why we're taking screenshot, because now if you are performing this analysis, you want to report. So that's why we were highlighting each and every one. You see, we first got the caller identity. We know that the temp user. Then we saw how the user assumed a role here. Forward. Then the user performed an action called list object on the bucket emergency data recovery. Then the user performed an action called get object from the data emergency data recovery. And this is data that was exfiltrated emergency.txt. You understand? Are we together? Are we together, please? All right, that's good. So now that's on the blue chip side. Now we've gotten everything that was requested. Now we want to look into how was the attacker able to compromise that temp user, the processes, So and this is how the attacker might probably compromise the account. After getting the secret access, the access key ID, the secret access key ID, we're able to get our caller identity. Remember, I've configured this with the credential that was provided. I've configured this. Then, just like what the attacker was trying to do, get caller identity. Now, temp user. This is a temp user. Then, the attacker perform enumeration folder. Okay, let's list the policy, the user policy that is attached to this temp user. Maybe there is a misconfiguration in the policy that we can abuse. Now, username, that's temp user. Then the profile that you are calling this one. Press enter. Now this will list the policy that is attached. Is by getting to know the policy that is attached to this user can give us insight into what we can do with this user's account. Now we know that there's a policy called test temp test temp user. Now we are going to look into what that policy is all about. What are the privileges we have? What are the actions we can perform? So we're going to do AWS IAM get user policy. Then the name of the policy, that's policy dash name. I've copied it, I pasted it here. Then the username of the account, use then the user, then the profile coordinates. Then we'll press enter. Yes, you can see now the username, the temp policy name, temp user, and we can see the effect here is allow action. So it means this temp user is allowed to assume role. And now what's the name of the role? The name of the role the temp user is allowed to assume is called admin role. So that was how the attacker was able to get the information that he could assume role. Now let's now try to assume the role now as though we are the attacker. Now what you are going to do is AWS. Oh, sorry. I ought to copy the name of the role below IRM. So yeah, you're going to need this. Okay. So what you're going to do is we're going to do AWS STS assume role, and we are going to give the role ARN. That's which we copy there. Control V is that. Control Shift V rather Linux. Then we are going to in the name of the session. So there's the name for this session. You can call it pen test. You can even call this pen test. You can call it anything. Pen test. All right. So you can call it anything you want. So let's call this pen test. And the profile performing this as breach. So let's try to assume the role. So this is how to assume role. So now we are assuming the role by inputting the role ARN and the role session name. You can see now this generated for us an access key ID and secret key ID to assume that temporary role called admin role. Now that temporary privilege called admin role. So we are going to have admin access. Now what we are going to do is to copy. Let's log in now with this role. Let me copy this. So actually the last time I was trying to do this manually here, I was always running to paste it here. So now what you want to do now is that you want to configure this from what's it called, from the AWS credential folder here. No, the way I opened it in the channel affected it. I'm supposed to open it now. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I have it back here. So I can make use of my terminal back here. All right. So let me clear my screen. Now to get the AWS credential, we are going to get the folder where we install the AWS. So to do that, let's do nano -home. So that's AWS credentials. So you need to know where you credentials. I can show you how to get that later. So let's enter this. So now I have one here. So let me call this. Okay, let me try to delete the previous one that I have here. For better still, let me just create another one. Let me create another one. So to create another one here, what you're going to do is to open a bracket here and give it a name. Let's just call this one admin role. Admin role. So then we are going to enter the AWS access key ID. ID. Then we are going to copy that from the one that was given to us by assuming row. So Control Shift V. Then next, AWS secret access key. We are going to copy the secret access key as well. Do that. Then now the last one is session. AWS session token. Then we are now going to copy this session. Sorry. We are going to copy and paste this session token. Proceed. So we are going to paste it here. Don't mind how it displays. If you want to know that everything is working fine, just press enter. So it's because it's longer than the screen size. That's why. So we have set it up here in our AWS credential. So what you are going to do, just press Control X to exit, and we ask you, do you want to save? Then you press Y to save. Right to file AWS credential, then press enter. That's it. So we are good with that. Now let's try to get our caller identity with the admin role. AWS STS get caller identity with the profile we created. Remember, admin role. Press enter. You can see now. Now we're able to assume the role called the admin role. Remember the name we called our session, Pentest. You can see it here. Now, this is the name we gave to our session, Pentest. So as the attacker was performing all of this, the CloudTrail log was capturing it. All right. So now we are now simulating the attack. We are acting as the attacker. So after getting the policy attached to the user, we found out that we could assume a role by elevating we could elevate our privilege by assuming the role. Now we've successfully assumed the role. Now let's now try to list all the objects in the bucket. AWS S3 LS. Let's see if you can even list all the buckets. Oh, sorry. I was supposed to indicate the profile. That's unknown. Sorry. Let's see this. Okay. We're not permitted to list the profile. Let's just get the name of the bucket. What's the name of the bucket here? And that's emergency data recovery. Now let's list all the data in the emergency data recovery. So AWS S3 LS S3 emergency data recovery. Always remember to add a forward slash at the end of the bucket because it's like a folder. So to list the content inside it, you must add that forward slash. So let's list it here. Oh, I forgot to add the profile again. I'm in a hurry. You can see this now. Yes, we were able to now list the recovery data, the data in the emergency data recovery, the files, the objects rather. AWS's object for S3 for any data stored in S3. The object you can see emergency.txt, message.txt. So now let's download the emergency.txt to know what it contains. Rather. So let's say emergency.txt here. And we are going to indicate the name of the file That is the folder, the directory we want to download it in on our local computer. If you just enter dot, a single dot, it means the present directory we are working working from. That's the point labs. So then we are going to change this one to CP. CP means to copy, to make a copy. So it's a downloading. Download success. So if you do ls on our local machine, you can see emergency.txt. Now let's print out what is in the emergency.txt. You can see here sensitive credentials, sensitive data. You can see here we have sensitive data here. You can see we have sensitive data here. You can see, and this is the flag. So just what to do is that you copy this flag, copy it and paste it in your form lab. That's how you complete the lab. Yeah, you are going to paste it here. I've pasted mine before. So you just paste yours here and click on submit. So we can see step by step how the attacker to perform the attack. And further, we can proceed further to list to download to get the other document. That's message.txt to see what in there. So let's say message.txt. So that one is download down. Let's just list to show. You can see we have the message.txt to you already. Then my screen, let me cut that. You can see, congratulations on completing the lab and welcome to Pound Lab. You can see that's just the message. Now we're able to compromise that account, list everything out, and how we get the credentials. We're able to perform what we just did now is that we we were able to perform the blue team side. That is, we analyzed the log and got all the data that were exfiltrated, all the data that was exfiltrated, we were able to do that. And at the same time, we were able to simulate the attack as well. That's the red team aspect. This is the blue team aspect. What we just concluded now is the red team aspect. And they both combine. That's what we call puppeting in cybersecurity. That's what we call puppeting. So that's that for this lab. We've completed the lab for tonight. I hope we were able to understand it now. Can I get our response? Do we understand? Yeah. All right. Is there any question? Do anyone have question, please? Any question? Please, you can unmute your mic and ask. Any question? Yeah. Yeah. It's recorded. It's recorded. It's recorded. And I don't know. All right. Google is not giving us is not giving us time frame today. Like we passed 1 hour now. Is it that they are loving us? I don't understand. It's well. That's fine, though. So I said I made mention that I was going to show you how to access the AWS credential. Now, if you navigate to your home directory, uh, you know, if you navigate to your home directory, should we do that? Okay. If you navigate to your home directory, you can see here, this is your home directory, this is everything here. Don't mind this AWS. That's not where it is. I just created that one. But if you want to know where your credential, the directory, AWS configure, AWS CLI, store your credentials, just type ls dash la. What this will do is that it will list the hidden files too in a long listing format. Or let's try -a just to list hidden files. You can see this one listed all the hidden files, and the hidden files always start with dots. So you can see it here. We have .bash, stuff like that, blah blah blah. Now let's find the one with .aws. You can see this .aws, and the color indicated that it is a directory. So let's navigate to that .aws, cd .aws. Now you can see we have config, we have credentials. Let's cut the credentials. That was exactly the same thing when we edited from the other time. So you might be working, I perform all the carry out all the exercise from I download and Paul Labs directory on my local machine. Just might be different, but I'm showing you how to get it here now too as well. So I think that will be all. Anyone have any question before we call it a night? All right, I will lost connection. That's right. So that'll be all for this now. We meet again in the next lab. Thank you.